Hi, welcome back. Today I'm going to walk through real quickly how I made the terrain tiles for Here is a Blackreach board game. And the board game, can look like this if you have 15 millimeter miniatures, which I kind of like to do. I wanted a nice subtle grid so that I could conduct movement, but that it didn't really jump out at me. And I think it works pretty decent. I started off with the boards are 12-inch square, and the grid size is about 43 millimeter. And I was looking for some kind of tile that could kind of be used for it, or just something quick and simple like a floor tile that had the correct size. And I found these on Amazon. They're actually packing cardboards, and they're exactly 12 inches square. So with that as my base that I was going to put down as the foundation for it, I needed something to put on top of it so that I could have a little bit of texture and such with it. So this is felt indoor outdoor carpeting that comes from Lowe's, and it's pretty inexpensive. I mean, obviously it's a little more now than it used to be, but I use this for years and years and years to play 40K and Fantasy Battle on. And you can just play on the backside or on the regular front. It comes in gray, green. I think there's even a tan, but you can just play straight on the surface. So these were battle mats before battle mats were actually a thing in this huge industry with multiple companies. But if you flip it over, it's got this really neat rubber texture on the back that catches dry brushing extremely well, and it's just a decent surface. It's easy to work with, and it's inexpensive. So what I decided to do was to I would cut this into 12-inch squares, and then I would take and lay my grid. Obviously this piece isn't a 12-inch square, but I'm just showing you how I did the grid. Lay the a ruler that has a metal edge on it across there, and then using this hot knife from Harbor Freight, if you heat this up a little bit, you can just run along there, and it'll melt the rubber backing to the indoor outdoor carpet and leave you, a small groove in there. Don't overdo it or you'll cut through it. But so it was able to make a really nice, quick and easy grid system.
All right, now that we have our tiles laid out, we got our grid. The cardboard has been cut away where the shell hole impact craters are on the board game tiles. So we're going to make shell holes in them using this. This is body filler that I have. You can buy it, different kinds. You can get a pint of it on Amazon. You basically mix it up with a hardener, and we're going to mix some up and put it in there.
So this stuff smells a bit and you don't want to get it on your skin. So wear some gloves and be outside when you do this. I just kind of wanted to make an indent with like a ridge around the outside, and I wanted to be able to put my 32 millimeter bases, which I'm using to base my units on, in there. So you mix it up pretty good, about 1 inch of hardener for a golf ball size of that. And if you mix it up, all you're going to do is make it harden faster or slower. So I put it in there and kind of made a little pocket. And I did this for each of the boards that I was recreating. And if you run out, you just mix up a little bit more. You can get this at the AutoZone places and things like that. So that's what I did. And then after it hardened, I got out this Dremel tool that came with my Dremel kit. And it worked pretty good. And it just really made short work of it. I was able to put like little streaks and things of that nature in there and just kind of make it.
Okay, so the boards are pretty much coming along a little bit. I put a watered down version of the bark brown so that it went into all the crevices. The next step would be to dry brush it, and I'm going to use this house paint that I had left over. It's like a light tan. Looks like a pretty good match. Also, the areas that are rocky, I painted them black because they're going to be rocks sticking up. So this one's done, except, so the dry brushing's done. But it's pretty simple to do. You just take a big brush like this and just hit it. And this texture on this particular carpet is really, really nice for making game mats and dry brushing. I was at Lowe's the other day. They have rolls of it there.
I tried to use kind of a muted palette, somewhat that they did, but I think I put a little bit more greens in mine until they were all done. But yeah, this step is pretty quick and easy, and you get decent results pretty quick and fast. So the other thing is I 3D printed the trench works and the barricades. I'm going to try to put a zip drive up with files for this if you want to 3D print these. So there was floor pieces, there's edges, inside and outside corners, and straight pieces. And then threw a little paint on them and some dry brushing. I think I hit them with two spray paints, the top one just dusting over it, and then dry brushed them with a little, sand color. I didn't put an enormous amount of work into them. So the floors of the trenches, I have them laid out here. I sprayed them with a silver spray paint. And initially I thought about just hooking them to the top of the carpet like that. But I had an idea to just take with a razor knife and cut the carpet out so that it went down into the cardboard. And then I was going to put the trench floor on the cardboard. And it kind of, goes in there nice and flush, so it kind of looks a little bit more like a trench system. And then for the larger trenches, I just cut out larger pieces. And, it was pretty simple. And then laid the trench works down in there. So I had to go and do, all of the boards. So all the trenches were cut in and laid into the place, and they were flush down with what would be the carpet, which would be the grass and stuff. I had some brown antiquing. I just threw some brown antiquing in there and a couple splashes of black antiquing here and there, but mostly brown, just to catch into some of the crevices and make it look like mud. I chopped a couple holes in them, and that would be green because on the board some of them were green. So I matched the boards up that were, I was going to be using with the same pattern and layout. So each of the boards has its own three-dimensional board now to match it. Obviously these aren't going to store as nicely as the mat boards are, but I'm going to build a little shelf where I can store these. And I'm going to do a video on how to build a shelf, but it's pretty standard. So the next thing was the floors to the buildings, and in my bits box out in the garage, this is actually part of my prefab building, and I had to cut them down a little bit, but they sell all different sorts of things that you can use for this. I'm sure you can find something to use as a floor. So I did the same thing. I cut the carpet away and glued these down in there, and then I painted them a little bit and dry brushed them. So this is sort of what it looks like with the trench works in place. So I went back to the bits box. This is some of the Imperial City, some Pegasus Hobby stuff, and some bricks that I got off of a diorama at some point. And I've made them a little bit differently to add some variety. Like this building is the old Imperial City bits. There's the bricks. So, and again, I like the floor being flush and level with the ground outside. So, this is a neat little touch. I downloaded some posters off the internet of just Imperial type propaganda posters, and I shrunk them down and I just slapped them on the inside of the trench, figuring maybe that was motivating the troops. So when it's done, it kind of looks like this. You get your trenches, you get your buildings, you get your shell holes and everything. I think it makes for a neat little battlefield. So here's a top-down view of the battle report that I did. And if you want to do Heroes of Blackreach in 3D, it is possible. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone.